Hello students. So here there's a new pseudocode to find errors and correct. Read this section of program code that inputs 10 numbers, checks whether each number is within a specified range, totals the numbers within the range and outside the range. So 9 lines of codes are there. So here we need to find the sum total based upon the range, that is in range and out range. Okay, so we need to store it in two different variables. In range, if the numbers are inside the range, then we need to store inside in range. And if numbers are outside the range, then we need to store that total in out range. So for totaling, we need to initialize the variables always to 0. So first line is okay, but second line problem. It's 1000. It's wrong, error. So error 1. What's error 1? It's in line 2. So what's the correction for that? So what's the error? We'll write that error. So okay, line 2, that is out range equal to 1000. Okay, that's error. So we need to correct that error. So the result, the answer is like this. We need to initialize to 0. Initialize to 0. Okay. The next for loop is used because fixed number of repetitions. Its numbers are non-numbers. Yeah, number of repetitions are not, because we need to input only 10 numbers. For count equal to 1 to 10, so count is the variable for counting. Input num, okay. Then condition checking. If this is the range checking, yeah. If num greater than 10 and so this is n, right? In some past papers, we can say here it is or. So actually there is an error in that past paper. Okay, so we need to convert it into and, but here it's okay. Num greater than 10 and so between, if the number is in between 10 and 20, that's the meaning here. Excluding 10 and 20, that means if the number is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 up to 19, then this condition becomes true. So if you check between, if you check range in between, some numbers in between, then use and. Okay, for example, if I need to check the number is a positive number, and also it is should be less than 100. So what we need to do, if num, for example, okay, if num greater than 0, so it's positive, but also it should be less than 100 in my condition. Okay, so if num greater than 0 and num less than 100, okay, less than 100. So here it's okay, num greater than 10 and num less than 20, that's the range. Then we need to increment because we need to count. Yeah, here totals the numbers within the range and outside the range. So problem is what then? In range equal to, in range here it is counting, but here in the question it's written totals the numbers within the range and outside the range. So total means how many numbers are there? That's the question. But here the question totals the numbers within the range and outside the range. So that's our question. So here totals means it's not totaling. We need to count how many numbers are within the range 10 from 10 to 20, excluding 10 and 20, and how many numbers outside. Okay, so the second error, This is okay in range equal in range plus 1, but else means if it is not inside this range from 10 to 20, then we need to increment. It is out range equal out range. No, it's not -1, it's +1. So second error, error 2. It's line 5. So here, this line 5, the code is like this. If num greater than 10, greater than 10, and num less than 20, then in range equal to in range in range +1. So this is the error. So how we can correct this error? So the correction is like this. Num greater than 10 and num less than 20, then in range equal to in range +1. Okay, the error is in line 6. Okay, not 5, 6. Okay. Else, this condition is right. So else, that's a mistake. Else out range equal to out range -1. It's error. So we need to correct. It's +1. We need to add. Okay. So this is the correction. Fine. Next one. Next error, error 3. So this is for loop, but count is not needed here. Counting here, this step line number 7 is not needed because here we use for loop. But if we use while loop or do while, then we need to count like this. Okay. So here we need to delete this. Error 3. So error is in line 7. The error is count equal to count +1. Okay. So what's the correction? Correction is to delete line 7. So we need to delete that. No need for that statement, which is count equal to count +1. Then the final mistake, error 4. So error 4. So count after that line 8. Next, here it is x, but x is not here, so this is wrong. Next, we need to increment, that is next count here. Next count means count will change to 2, 3 like that. That is next. So in pseudocode, it's 4. Then we can write the range. Okay. Then we can need to input the steps inside the for range, the statements inside the for range, and after that we need to write next. Then the counter variable. Here the counter variable is counter means this 1 to 10. Yeah, this variable is count. So we need to write count here, not x. Here there is no x. So next count. So error in line 8. Next x, that is the error. So the correction is next count. So these are the 4 different errors in this pseudocode. So I am going to implement it into Python program. So at first we need to initialize in range, then out range, it's 1000. Yeah, so it's capital in the pseudocode, so put all capital like this. So out range we need to initialize to 0. Pseudocode R is also capital. Yeah, so it's case sensitive. The variable names, function names, identifiers, or that is those are identifiers. All are case sensitive. Okay. Out range equal to 0. Then we need to use for loop. For so the variable name is count in range from 1 to 10. So it's written 1 to 10. So by default in Python, for loop starts from 0. So we can write like this manually: 1 comma 10. Means one problem is there. Look, 1 to 10 means in pseudocode it starts from 1 then ends in 10. But here it starts from 1. So if in Python if it stops in 10, then we need to add one more. So it's 1 comma 11. Okay. So but if we put 0, if we start from 0, it's 0 comma 10. No problem. So there 0 to 9. 0 to 9 means 10 times. Yeah. But here when you start from 1, we need to end at only 10. So 1 comma 11. One more. Okay. Then we need to input num equal to int of inputs. So this is equal to input numbers. So it will read number and convert to integer. Okay. Then condition inside this for loop: if num greater than 10. So and here is small letter. Okay. In Python, all are small letters. All keywords are in small letters. Num less than 20 colon. Then what we need to do? We need to increment in range equal to in range +1. Else otherwise we need to count out range. So it's out range is equal to out range +1. That's other error. Yeah. So that's +1. Okay. It's not -1. Next count is not needed. That's a next error. Next x is not needed in Python. Okay. It's in pseudocode only. So here pseudocode is next count. Okay. Then at last we need to print in range, and you can also put print out. Okay, out range. So we can check, run this program, and we can check. This is range program, yeah. Okay. Okay, now we can check, can run, and we can see. It's 10 numbers. So I'm going to 4, 78, 20, 10, 34, 11, 34, 90, 45, 0. So look, how many numbers within the range? Only 2 numbers in between 10 and 20, excluding 10 and 20. So those numbers are chat. So these numbers are excluded. Okay, so no need to count. 4. First number is 4. Yeah, it's in between. Between 10 and 20. Okay, 10 and 20. A program greater than 10. Okay, and num less than 20. So it's between 10 and 20. So fine. Okay, so these are the 2 numbers. 11, because 11 is more than 10 and less than 20. And 19, it's also more than 10 but less than 20. Then the other numbers else, which are not inside the range, the rest of the numbers. So those numbers are 4, 28, 20, 10, 54, then 34, 45, and 0. So the rest, there are 8 numbers. Okay, so I'll run once again. Run 34, 15, 12, 18, 45, 34, 21, 16, 23, 20. There are 4 numbers within which is greater than 10 and less than 20, excluding. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 4. Then others are 6 numbers. Yeah, it is 34. Then 45, 2, this 3, third number, fourth number, fifth number, and sixth number. Yeah, 6. Okay, so this is the program, and this is the output after correction. Okay, thank you.